Hey friends, welcome to Living the KG Life, a pixie dust-filled podcast. I am so excited for today's episode. We have our very first guest, Jen Baptista, joining us today to talk about her experience and love of Disney. So stick around, it's going to be great. All right, friends, let's hop into our very first episode with a guest. We have Jen Baptista with us today, who is my sister, and I am so excited that she's here to join us. So, Jen, why don't you kick us off by giving us an intro, tell us who you are, what you do, and then what's your earliest Disney memory or what made you fall in love with Disney?
All right, well, I am Jen Baptista. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I am a wife, a mother, and more importantly, I am the spiritual realtor. I do a lot of holistic healing, and I teach you how to use your intuitive nature to buy or sell your home. So it's a little bit of both. I'm also a tarot card reader, a Reiki practitioner, crystal dealer, all those good things wrapped into one.
She's the shit, basically.
Thank you. I am the bomb.com. Disney. Oh, you had me at Diz. I love it. My very first memory was my parents took me there on their honeymoon. We went there for a day, and I remember being on like the bridge that you walk over when you go from Frontierland to like the Hall of Presidents. It's like I can still picture it, probably because there's like a picture of it, but I remember just being there. Obviously, Disney was very different then. They had like Frontierland. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
But it still held all the magic that there is in Disney.
Yeah, and for some context, that was early 80s, right?
Like 1982 or 3.
Awesome. And what do you feel like in general, not maybe just in your early life, but across even your whole now span of life, what has made you or kept you in love with Disney?
It sounds very corny and cliche. It's the magic. Granted, I've seen people get in arguments at Disney, but like you really can't be mad at Disney. Like you just walk down Main Street and you're like, okay.
Walking down
fine.
Main Street, USA.
Oh, there's just nothing like it. Like when you're driving and you go under that archway and it says like Walt Disney World, I pee my pants a little bit, I think. It's just, you just know, like, no matter how long you're there for, long, short, even if you just went to a hotel and just stayed there, which I know is starting to become like a very popular thing for some parents or people in general, you know that there's going to be at least one magic moment in time. And that's I think for me is like, what is the magic moment going to be this time? And I think that's what I live for each time.
And that's such a fun way to think about it too. Like, what's the magic moment going to be this time? Because you know it's not always going to be the same. No. And that's what I'm excited to talk to you about today, because you have so many different experiences at Disney. So you went when you were little, when mom and dad got married, and then you have all these different kind of phases of life with Disney. And I feel like a lot of us that have gone to Disney for a long time talk about that. You know, like when you went as a kid, when you went for like certain different things. And then as an adult, you have different phases too. So let's start with some of like your early trips to Disney World. So you were a Pop Warner cheerleader for a long time and a very successful coach as well.
That's right.
And your team went to nationals. I also happened to be one of the cheerleaders on that team, which was so cool to be able to go with you and the family and like experience kind of like that mix of going for sport, going for family, going for fun.
Well, you went as one of my cheerleaders and then one of my coaches.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because I feel like you and I just have such special memories with Pop Warner and Disney. So talk to me about that. Like, how was your first trip, if you remember it, and some like important memories or moments as a coach or cheerleader down at Disney?
So my Disney, we'll call it like a relationship. In 1995, I went as a coach and Kristen went as my cheerleader. And then I actually went on a trip and ended up moving to Disney, but that's a whole story. We'll get there in a couple minutes. And then I went again as a coach and Kristen went as my assistant coach. So when I went as a coach in 1995, I was a senior in high school. I was like hot mess, like, oh my God, I'm graduating, and all these, big life moments that I thought were happening. And I went with my team who I loved. I remember I can close my eyes and I can see them on Indiana Jones stage. I can remember their routine. It was just amazing. And I probably want to say the funniest moment from that trip was we had a tradition. Me and Kristen used to come to like almost a fist fight.
Yep.
Before every competition. And we ended up getting into a massive fight before they went on the floor to compete, and to the point that my mother had to be called over the PA to come behind.
Sorry, Betty,
to come behind and like physically calm us down because we were going at it. So because our nerves were so shot, it's a competition, you have 3 minutes to like leave it on the mat and that's it. So we were both obviously very,
And there's a good age gap between us. There's 8 years. So you were, 16, 17?
Yeah.
So I was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So when you're in that stressful environment, but you as a coach, me as a cheerleader, and then the sister piece on top of it, I was like, get out of my face. And our former director at the time, Tony, still to this day would be like, you two were so close. And then come competition day, ready to kill each other.
Yeah.
Every time.
It was wild. And I can, it's so weird because my memory is just very shot. But there are certain instances, and I can picture being behind scenes. Like it must have been like a parking lot. I remember like there was tables to check in, and like my mother coming around the corner and being like, "Are you like kidding me? Like what are you doing?" She's like, "You're like an adult, Jen." And I was so mad, and I don't even remember what started it. But
I probably had an attitude.
It went downhill really, really fast. But that was my first time ever being to Disney, because when you went with Pop Warner, it was 2 weeks before Christmas. You picked a great time for families to travel to Disney World. But walking down Main Street and having it be snowing with bubbles, I was like, wow. It's just something you don't ever forget.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because like you said, I remember the routine. I think everyone probably from that 1995 D Squad remembers like victory for the Colts.
Yes.
And like can probably do the whole cheer. And so much of that, the routine is so quick, but the experience feels so long.
And so big.
And yeah, huge. And I feel like every time I walk by the Indiana Jones section or like area, anyone that's been a cheerleader in the early 90s will have that instant feeling of like, oh my God, I got to be on that. Like I got to be a part of that, which is I think what made it so cool is that it wasn't just, you go to a building, you compete, you leave. Like you're in Disney, you're in an attraction, and you're actually part of the magic you were talking about.
Not many people can say they performed on Indiana Jones. Like it's kind of like maybe like a bucket list. It's not like going to like an arena, where it tends it's a very select few people who can say that actually happened in their life.
Yeah. And now everything for folks that aren't familiar with cheering, now it happens at the ESPN Worldwide of Sports. I feel like I'm saying that right. It is. It's basically a big arena, and we competed there, I think, my last year maybe. And it feels very different. It's like a whole different experience. Actually, when we went in May, Jen Belanger we went by and she was like, I remember this whole routine. And I was like, prove it. And she literally walked over and did like half of her routine in front. She's like, 1996 World National Champions. Boom. Yep. And people walked by and like didn't bat an eye. And she was like straight up doing her routine from 1996. It was amazing. So any other like fun memories or thoughts around cheer specific memories at Disney?
So the next time that we went was 2001. It was probably 3 months to the day after 9/11.
Yeah.
So it was like really like some parents actually didn't even fly. They took a bus.
From the Boston area.
Yep, from the Boston
area. So that was a long ass bus ride.
To Disney. That team holds like such a special place in my heart.
Same.
Kristen, I was the head coach. And then Amy McLaughlin, shout out to Amy McLaughlin for putting up with me. She was a co. We'll give her the co-coach. She was co-coach. She was also the nice coach. And then Kristen was everybody's friend.
Yeah.
So
because at that time, so 2001, I was a sophomore. I think it was between my sophomore and junior year of high school.
Yep.
So I was like a little bit closer to the girls' age. I'm like, guys, I know this is going to be hard, but like you can do it. And Jen and Amy were like, nope, let's go. Make it happen.
Yes. So we went to Disney. It was obviously like heightened because, everyone was kind of like nervous with traveling probably for the first time since 9/11.
Which is wild if you think about it, especially right now where we just had the 20th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that means that trip was 20 years ago.
Yes, that was 20 years ago.
SOS, guys.
Hold me.
I literally that did not register until just this second.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
So actually, you turned 16 because I bought you your Sweet 16 bracelet.
My first Tiffany that you gave me.
Yep. And I brought it, and I was afraid they were going to confiscate it on the plane for some reason because of, whatever. It was
a time.
Yeah,
everyone.
It was a time. We went, I don't even remember what the girls, I think they placed like in the top 5. But that year was special because I peed my pants. Because
I didn't know if you were going to bring that up.
No,
I'm really glad you did.
I will do it. I will fall on that sword. I peed my pants, literally. And I've been called Tinkerbell ever since by, again, Tony Champa. And
love you, Tone.
There's 2 very special girls from that team. Ashley Burns was on that team. Ashley sadly passed away a few years after that. I mean,
yeah, she was in high school.
Yeah. She was a freshman in high school. So probably like say 5 years after that. It's wild to look back, and I have so many pictures from that week, like actual physical pictures, like in a photo album, that the parents were so close. You couldn't ask for a better combination of kids.
It was one of those like special teams, and we were just talking about this with someone else the other day. Like there are certain sporting teams or like groups of friends or whatever that you have that just like have something special. And that team, all those girls, your point, all those parents, Karen Colt, like our squad mom, it was just like a special year for sure.
Yeah. It just clicked. It was all the pieces just fell together. No pressure, you're 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So Ashley was on that team. I will forever love that team. And
that was a team that, especially Ashley, like busted their ass. Like I remember those girls worked so hard for every skill, every stunt. They all wanted, like I just vividly remember being like, these girls work so much harder, I feel like, than we did when I was their age. Like they wanted to be the best. They didn't want to just be good. They just didn't want, they obviously had fun, but like I remember all of them saying, we want to win. We want to be the best, and we want to do it together.
When we got to Disney, because you have to qualify, you have to go through the Greater Boston League, and then Eastern Mass, and then New England, then you get to Disney. So by the time we got to Disney, I was like, guys, I don't even, just do your best. I'm in Disney. I'm so freaking happy. Like that for me was the main goal. And these kids still went out and they really, really tried. Like they really, really tried. And that team, we went to Blizzard Beach. Like some kids, like they go off and they go off with their parents, and coaches do their own thing. I spent more time with parents and kids than I can even remember. Yeah. I remember Karen Colt just swimming in the pool because she was ridiculously pregnant. We just had it was just such a great experience. And then
and a lot of people have said that anytime I've told that story, they're like, wait, so you took a group of kids to the parks? And like the coaches, we all went, and like some smaller groups went and did different things, but like for the most part, we were all together the whole trip. Yeah. And I think that Blizzard Beach picture is like one of my favorites. We all crammed into that giant Santa sleigh. And that was one of, after we got the news about Ashley, that was like the first picture that popped into my mind. So I remember the girls had such a fun day that time. And I had actually never been to Blizzard Beach, and I haven't been to Blizzard Beach since.
Yeah. There's one night that they closed MGM, whatever it's called now, early, and they just let the cheerleaders like run wild. And we were with our kids. We were with the kids the whole night. I remember being outside the Tower of Terror trying to figure out who was tall enough to go on and who wasn't. And it was a great time. And they were just a very, very special team to me. And I'm now watching these women take their kids to Disney on their first trips. And it's like, I remember being with you on your first one. So it's really cool to come full circle.
Yeah.
It really is.
Absolutely. And so before we jump to like your next phase of Disney life, what would be, this is going to be my favorite question to ask everyone that comes onto the podcast, but what is your favorite magic moment at Disney World, either as a cheerleader or as a coach?
So for this portion of the program, there was a girl, hi Maggie, throughout the whole entire season, her mom was sick. She had cancer and we never got to meet her. And it was always something that like lingered there. Like we all knew. So the day that I got to the airport, we're getting ready to fly. Kristen and my coach, Amy, my mother was there just because she had to drive Kristen. And they looked like they had seen a ghost. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? Like, did the bus crash? Like, what is the matter? And they're like, Maggie's mom passed away today. And I was like, oh my God. And when we got to Disney, our director, a shout out again to Tony Champa, literally looked at us and said, you are going to give this girl the best 4 days of her life because when she goes home, her life is totally different.
Yep.
And just, I hope Maggie had the trip of a lifetime.
And Maggie was and still is like one of the happiest, positive people. We still keep in touch like via Facebook and stuff like that. And I agree. It's one of those things where like, hopefully she did have a really great trip. And I think even just having that perspective of a director and a coach to say like, we are going to make sure that every part of this trip is amazing for whatever reason. And knowing that Disney's going to deliver. Yeah. Disney's going to provide that experience as the cheerleader, experience with like with time with your friends and your coaches and the other people that make that experience special. So I totally agree. I think that's a really, really important, almost kind of like what we talk a lot of like core memories of Disney in the Pop Warner world for sure.
Yes.
We love you, Maggie.
We still love you very much, Maggie.
I hope that a lot of girls from that 2001 D Squad will listen to this, and I'll have to tag you all on Facebook when we share it.
Oh my God, you know what I just thought of? Our music was "Oh Mickey, You're So Fine."
Oh my God, that's right.
So this is really like full circle. Yeah,
circle.
That was their music. And I can still do their routine. If you guys could see me, I'm actually doing the routine right now.
She's doing, those half motions that she always hated?
Yes, I'm actually doing it. So, wow.
Yeah. That whole team is really, like Jen said in the beginning, all of you girls, if you're listening, were incredibly special to us and always will be. So,
always.
Love it. All right, so let's jump to your next phase of Disney life. And I will let you give the intro of like how all of this happened because I love it.
Oh, so one of my good friends and I, Mala, her and I went to Disney. I think it was March of 1999. We went. Mala used to go all the time when she was younger, so her dad had an itinerary for us, like literally to like 11:07. Go pee. It was very strict, but it was amazing because we did not miss a thing. And
how old were you at this time?
21.
Okay.
So her and I went to Disney. We just had the most amazing trip, and I will never forget. We were sitting in the Polynesian, the main bar. You could look out and you could see Magic Kingdom, and the fireworks are going off. And we're like, what if we just move here? And
I literally think that to myself every time I go.
Yep.
But I never do it.
So we decided we were going to go home, work our butts off, and save all the money we could. My mom found us an apartment online, which back in then, it was 1999. Like you still had like that dial up.
Yeah.
And cell phones weren't a thing.
Yep.
And we worked our butt off, packed up my car, drove to the auto train, and we just moved with all our trash bags of clothes. And that was it. And I was actually talking to Mel before I came here. We drove, got there, found our apartment. A category like 5 hurricane was like about to hit Florida. So we ran to get food at the grocery store. And then the minute we could leave the house, the first place we went was to Disney to buy our resident passes. Like walked up with our lease to like show that we lived there. And just, that was it. And
now, do you remember whose idea it was? Yours or Mala's?
I don't know.
Because I feel like it very easily could have been either one of you. To suggest it.
I don't remember who said what, but when whoever asked the question first, the answer wasn't like, it was like, yes.
Done. we're in.
Yeah, like this is what we're doing.
I love that. And so how long were you down there for?
1 year.
Oh yeah, because you were back in 2001 when the story that we
Yeah.
just told. I remember coming down to visit, and I remember you had like the coolest little apartment, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I wish I could do this someday. And I remember, I think we actually might have came down around your birthday, because I remember Mala has the prettiest handwriting, and she taught me how to do like the little dots on the ends of words or names. And because I remember, I think you had like a happy birthday, Jen, or something like on your bedroom door. And, like I can vividly remember exactly what that whole space looked like, which is crazy. So what are the maybe like the biggest or like most impactful memories or like fun times that you remember having as a Florida resident down there?
So I moved there in 1999. So we were there for Y2K. And obviously when people didn't know it was going to happen, I was picturing like the Epcot ball was going to just blow up. Like we had no idea what was going to happen.
For those youngins listening, Y2K was a time as well.
It's like when Instagram goes down now. That's basically like what the equivalent is.
Yes.
The best thing about living there was you'd wake up and you'd be like, oh, I have like today off. What do you want to do? Let's just go walk around Magic Kingdom. We would, oh, you want to go to the pool today? Where do you want to go? Boardwalk. Like that was where we hung out.
Yeah.
That's what we did. One night, this is so random. One night, MGM closed down and they had DJ Scribbles doing like an after party there.
Wow.
Yes. And we like met his posse and like hung out. Like
DJ Scribbles, I am dead. That is such a throwback.
Yeah. I have pictures with like DJ Scribbles. Random. I know.
You actually met a lot of cool people when you lived in Orlando.
Yes. We were there and they had, it was like soap opera day. So like all the people from like General Hospital were like in this like car parade.
It must have been so jealous.
It was very random. You know, we were just, the one good thing / bad thing is like when we moved there, we literally had a guest like every 2 weeks. We also had a non-negotiable that if you did not bring us pizza and rice balls, you were not coming in the door.
From Boston or from somewhere in Florida?
No, Boston. If you weren't walking my house with Regina or Umberto's, you were not staying in the house.
I'm obsessed. I love that.
One of our friends was like, that plane smelt like so much because of your food. But that was all we cared about.
Yeah.
So after a while, we're like, okay, like no guests, like because it was getting to be like, we loved you. Thank you for coming. But, you know, we wanted to settle. Like this is where we were living. But it
wasn't a permanent vacation.
No. I just remember like we would just drive and just go hang out at Disney. Like that's what we did.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It's very different like when you live there, you know, obviously like driving in like traffic. That was not like sometimes great. And it's also very different. So there's a huge university down there. It's UCF, University of Central Florida. Those people wanted nothing to do with people. So there's like the Orlando people who are still Disney people. Then there's Orlando people who are just residents and don't have anything to do with the college or Disney. And then there's also the students of UCF and they want like nothing to do. Like Orlando downtown nightlife was actually really fun and cool.
Yeah.
But I moved there for Disney.
So if you think about, like you said, you would go randomly and just kind of like hang out at Magic Kingdom or walk. How do you think or why do you think you still, all these years later, have not been like jaded or feel like you haven't, like the magic isn't lost?
Oh God, that never dies.
I love that.
Like that I'm sure there's a random person out there who's gone to Disney and been like, look.
It's not your jam.
And, you know, God bless. But if you go to Disney, once that, like I look at it as like, once that Pandora's box is open, that is not closing.
Yeah.
That is not closing. There's just no way.
Was there anything when you lived down there that I know you said like traffic wasn't great and stuff, but anything that you're like, when I go, I don't want to do fill in the blank?
No.
Or you're just kind of like, we're always down to do anything?
Always down to do anything. I would like to go back and maybe do like, see like, because from what I hear, like the bars that were there when I went a very long time ago are still there. So that'd be cool to kind of see.
Any that you remember that like stick out to you?
Chillers, Wednesday night dollar drinks.
Literally, she didn't even flinch.
No.
Like, didn't even take a breath, knew right offhand.
Chillers. We had a friend, he's go, chillers. And we used to go Wednesday. Yeah, I think it was Wednesday, dollar drink night. It was kind of like Wet Willie's in Miami. It was all these like frozen drinks.
Oh.
And, some was vodka, some was, rum. There was like ones with grain alcohol. And I think of it now and I'm honestly just hung over just thinking about it between the alcohol and the sugar. But it was a bar downtown. They had a rooftop that was really cool. When I think of like Orlando, not Disney, like non-Disney Orlando, I think of like there's like a Hooters everywhere. I dated a kid who went to UCF and he took me to a UCF football game, which is like huge. Like
those are like bananas, right?
Huge. Like to go to like no events, college sporting events in Boston are just like not a thing. Yeah. So to go to a place with like an arena.
Yeah, they live and die for those teams. Paint their houses.
It was wild. It was like I kind of went to college like through them.
Yeah.
So that was really fun as well. But yeah, I would never forget. Like I said, every time I got in my car, my Mala worked at Planet Hollywood, which was at Pleasure Island.
Oh my gosh, Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island is where you went to get the nightlife and you love to boogie. Mala worked at Planet Hollywood, so sometimes we only had one car. How we made this work, I will never know. But we made it work.
Yeah.
And I sometimes would go pick her up. And like I said, driving through that arch, it just instantly made you smile.
I love that. And especially like when you talk about it too, you just look so happy, you have a big smile, like your eyes light up. That's amazing.
Yes.
I love that. So let's do a quick speed round of favorites from your, let's say like early years, whether it's cheering, going as a kid, when you lived there, any of the above.
Okay.
So what's your favorite resort?
Ooh. Oh, well then the Swan and Dolphin were like the Swan and Dolphin. It was brand new. The boardwalk was brand new. We actually hung out at the boardwalk a lot. We had a friend who worked at a restaurant in like the beach club area. Mm-hmm. So if we went to like hang out, it would be like the boardwalk beach club area. So that would probably be my choice.
I love that. Favorite restaurant on property or place to eat?
That 50s place in MGM.
Oh, yeah. 50s Primetime Diner.
Yeah, where they like yell at you and make you eat meatloaf. Mm-hmm. That place.
I love that. Actually, the last time I went there, I did not feel well afterwards because like they literally make you eat all the food. Like you can't leave food on your plate. So that stresses me out. But the vibe there is so fun. What's your favorite park? The stress taking over your face.
This is just, it's cruel. I would probably, Magic Kingdom. There's just nothing like Magic Kingdom. But I have like other things like that I love for certain reasons. But I guess if I have to pick, Magic Kingdom.
Okay. Favorite ride at each park?
I would say Base Mountain for MGM. Magic Kingdom. Tower Terror for MGM. Epcot, Drinking Around the World. We'll consider that a ride.
Yeah.
That is a ride, people. Get with it.
It is a ride to be on.
It is a ride. But they also had Fast Track. Is that still there?
I was saying this on John and Jay's With Good Energy podcast. I don't do anything other than drink around the world at Epcot and shop. I believe it's still there. And I'm so sorry to all the Epcot fans that are probably like, how dare you?
Well, back in the day then, it was Fast Track for me. And when I was there, I don't even think they had Animal Kingdom when I lived there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was probably like right before, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm that old.
Yeah. No, you just have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
So what about your favorite snack at any of the parks?
Popcorn.
Done. Do you get it in the regular box or do you get the souvenir popcorn bucket?
Then? Well, then I just got it in the regular box.
Then they probably didn't even have them, I guess.
No.
How about a favorite merch or collectible item? Or like something that like anytime you went, you always get fill in the blank.
Well, I would have been poor because I used to go like once a week. So that doesn't really like resonate with me. Sorry. We got like a lot of sweatshirts.
I was just gonna say, I feel like you're a sweatshirt person.
Yeah.
When you go places.
I got like a lot of sweatshirts. Like I said, I could buy a sweatshirt every week, but yeah.
So is there maybe instead of one that you would get every time, something that you still have from one of your older trips that's like really special to you?
I don't have anything from Disney, but I do have my sweatshirt from where I used to work at this place called Lulu's Bait Shack.
Mm.
It was near like Universal. I can't remember the name of, maybe it was Universal Drive, whatever it is. International Drive.
The excitement.
I drive. Yes, I'm so excited. I remember that. I don't know where my keys are, but I do remember that. I worked at this restaurant called Lulu's Bait Shack. It was like a Southern style restaurant. So this girl from Boston, I was like, what is, they had alligator, they had crawfish, everything was blackened. I was like, I don't, the jambalaya. I will say though, can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, of course.
So I get hired and I walk in the kitchen and I was like, oh my God, Jason Veritek works in the kitchen. And they were like, no, that's his younger brother, Jared. And I was like,
what? How have I never heard this story?
I don't know. I was like, dude, I was like, do you understand? They were like, this is obviously Jen, the new girl from Boston.
Yep.
And I was like, your brother is like a god where I'm from. And he was like, yeah, I heard he's pretty popular. And he would go up there, whenever he could to watch his brother play. And I would tell him like, it's like, this is where you like go to the Cask and Flag. And like, he's like, well, we'll have to wait in line. I was like, dude, no, you look just like him.
Yeah. And especially if they know that you're Tech's brother, I think you're good.
Yep. So that's where I worked.
And for the non-sports fans, Jason Veritek, literal god of the Boston Red Sox.
Yes. So I worked there. That's where I met all my friends who went to UCF. I actually still talk to some of them, like, on Facebook and stuff. It's really like, it's nice to see, like, these kids were pretty wild back in the day, but now they're all like parents. It's kind of funny. But I have a sweatshirt from Lulu's Bait Shack and it's covered in holes. It's so washed. It's like not even really comfortable on the inside anymore.
And you have like that cut off neck. Because I feel like that was a big thing back then. Was like cut the necks off the crew neck sweatshirts.
But I will never, ever give this thing up. It's just, it reminds me of such like carefree times in my life. So that's a core memory for me too.
Favorite memorabilia item. So I guess you actually probably kind of touched on this speed round piece too, is like what was your favorite non-park activity when you were down there?
When I was there, what we did is we knew we were like an LTO, like a limited time offer. Like we knew, I think we thought it was going to be longer than a year, but we knew it wasn't going to be like a forever type of thing. So we would always try to, which is funny, we lived down the street from Universal and I think we maybe went once. Like we were Disney people.
Yeah.
When we weren't at Disney, we went to like Cocoa Beach, down to Melbourne. Like we wanted to experience Florida as much as we could, be like Tampa, because we knew it was a fleeting moment. Yeah. So we really wanted to like travel and see stuff around, which is like something I'm really glad that we did.
And then the last question for this episode is, if you were going to give anyone advice that wanted to move down to Orlando, what would be your like biggest piece of advice?
Do it.
Yes.
Do it. Just do it. Like when my sister Katie, hey Katie, when she said she wanted to do the Disney College program, I pretty much packed her suitcase for her. I was like, go. And it changed her life. Mm-hmm. It was so great to get out of like this little bubble of Boston and to meet people who lived a completely different like way of life for me. And I met some amazing people. It was such a great time. I don't regret it. The only thing I might regret is maybe coming back too soon, but I don't really have regrets because my life, I didn't come home when I did, then I wouldn't have had gone when I was cheering and I wouldn't have had those memories. So it happened the way it happened, but damn, it was a good time to be alive.
Yeah.
It was great.
And you survived Y2K.
That's right. Epcot did not blow up.
We're all still here.
We're all still here.
21 years later.
Yep. But it was, if you are thinking like, should I do this? Just go.
I love that. All right, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me and Jen on this episode. I hope you enjoyed hearing all of her fun magic stories that she has from her experience at Walt Disney World. Stick around because there is actually going to be another episode with Jen on her kind of parenting phase of life with Disney. So we hope you'll stick around. It's going to be great.